Hi, I'm Jim, and I was retired. When I started my DIY retirement 9 years ago, I began looking for a TurboTax of financial planning. About 18 months ago, I reviewed Steve Chen's New Retirement, calling it a financial planner in a box. I also highlighted its features like its Social Security and Roth conversion explorers in other videos. Earlier this year, New Retirement changed its name to Boldin, and in this week's video, I'll explain why I believe Boldin is better, except for the name. Stay tuned. Now, Boldin has expanded and improved its planner offering over the last many years. It offers a free basic version as well as a 14-day free trial to a very reasonably priced Planner Plus. For $120 a year, the Boldin Planner Plus is comparable to what I'd pay for a TurboTax Home and Business, and it's priced for the masses who need affordable financial planning without the high fees of a 1% asset under management or advice-only plans priced at thousands of dollars. Now, note this is an independent DIY review, so take these as entertaining ideas from one educated consumer to another. I know other YouTube channels are Boldin affiliate financial planners or marketing partners. I'm going to walk you through my own personal account, but I'll mask out some of my personal details. And I'll highlight 5 things about Boldin that I believe make it better. Before I cover the one complaint I have about its name, stay to the end for that diatribe. Now, before I go any further, will you please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this channel if you like entertaining ideas from one DIY retiree. So the Boldin Planner starts with this success ratio on an overview page. And in all of my scenarios, and I have multiple scenarios with Planner Plus, they're all in the high 90s with average assumptions. Now, I prefer sticking with the average assumptions rather than the rosy optimistic or drastic pessimistic. Now, the faith you put into the number depends on your planning effort. As Peter Drucker said, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. Or, as often happens in planning, garbage in, garbage out. But if you take time, then you can have some degree of confidence in the number that you get. Now, the first thing I like about Boldin is up here at the top, where you can change between the scenarios and assumptions all in one toolbar now. This is my baseline. Here's a scenario with Roth conversions in it. And over here, you can adjust your forecast. You can use optimistic, average, or pessimistic. And as I pointed out, I prefer average. One of the newest things they've added is the ability to switch between today's dollars, or present value, and future dollars, or future value. Now, I prefer to stay in today's dollars. But over time, it's better to think in today's dollars and then project how that might increase in today's dollars in your plan. And here you get to look at all of the assumptions, your retirement ages, the withdrawal strategies based on spending needs as defined by a budget. So you get to change the assumptions, your scenarios forecast, and the scenario that you're looking at. And I'll go back to baseline here for a minute. So this is the starting point. Then under summary, you get an overview of how far you are in the plan's completion. And now one of the reasons why I favor Boldin is they take you through a very logical step-by-step process, just like TurboTax takes you through your tax return in a step-by-step process. In connections, I don't use the connections. I know a lot of people do, but since I'm going in here and only adding the present value of accounts and assets, I prefer just to manually put in the numbers when I do one of my updates to the Boldin plan. The connections if you do use them, are going through Plaid, a secure, state-of-the-art platform for sharing financial data. And some people use this function. I use Quicken as my transaction software, and I don't need to set up an automated way of connecting Boldin to duplicate what it's doing. So I don't use connections. I go straight to the accounts and assets when I need to update values. When you go to that here, you get your savings and you get the ability to update your balances with this little pencil here. When you get to the accounts and assets page here and several of the subsequent pages, you get to the second thing I like about the Boldin Planner, and that is this plan completeness block up here that shows you the income score, your average income, your average expenses, and the estate value every time you're looking at one of these pages. So as you make changes to accounts and assets, for instance, or income or expenses, you can see how it reflects in the final top line numbers of your plan. Now down here you have a bar chart that shows lifetime income projection in your plan. And if you go to hover over any given year, like 2033 here, it'll show you how much you can expect in Social Security, pensions, other withdrawals from retirement assets, required minimum distribution, and expenses and taxes in any given year. And below the lifetime income projection, you have projections of savings balances and projected expenses with that same year-by-year breakdown when you want to see them. Now, money flows is where you would have any recurring contributions, where your excess income is going to go, what withdrawal strategy you're pursuing, and I pursue a based on spending needs. And then here's the next thing, the third thing I like about Boldin right now, and that is you can now customize your withdrawal order. Now the traditional order is after tax first, then tax deferred, and then tax-free accounts. But Boldin uses this feature now to customize it, give you the option of deciding which tax-deferred accounts you want to hit first, what order you want to rank them. You get to edit that order in your plan. Now note, this is only available in Planner Plus, not the basic free Boldin Planner. But again, that's another reason why you should consider an annual subscription to unlock all the value of this tool for only $120 a year. Also in money flows is the fourth reason I like Boldin Planner, and that is the Roth conversions. Now on my base plan, I don't have one, and when you click that, it suggests you go to the Roth Conversion Explorer to look at options for your scenario. Now, I've already created a scenario called Roth Conversions, and I would urge you to do that if you're using Planner Plus. You can create up to 10 scenarios and edit any of them as long as you have one that's a baseline scenario. You can launch it here, but you could also launch it here under Explorer with the Roth Conversion Explorer. And now keep in mind, the Roth Conversion Explorer is a multi-year engine that takes a look at a strategy for multiple years of Roth conversions. And it's not your basic Roth conversion calculator. There's a standalone 2024 Roth conversion calculator that allows you to enter your AGI and then decide whether you want to go up to the next tax bracket. Now, I've reviewed this several times when this was called the NewRetirement Roth Conversion Explorer. But essentially, you've got the ability to map out a strategy that goes for the highest estate value, a tax bracket limit to stay within a tax bracket, the lowest lifetime tax liability, or an IRMA bracket limit, and that is to stay within a bracket and know how much of the income-related monthly adjustment amounts you might pay for Part B and Part D Medicare coverage. And that brings me to the fifth feature I like about the Boldin Planner Plus, and that is the ability to compare scenarios. You can compare your baseline against a Roth conversion or a conversion plan that stays within the 22% tax brackets, or you could say, can I go big on Roth conversions? And then compare the scenarios. When you compare scenarios, you can compare different scenarios, like your baseline against a Roth conversion scenario, for instance, or you can compare optimistic, average, and pessimistic assumptions within that one scenario. Now, the standout feature for Boldin Planner, from my perspective, are the rich resources they have for the DIY investor. You can use classrooms with live events or pre-recorded courses to get comfortable with the plan and understand how it works and how to make it work for you. And if you have a question while you're in there, you can always use the chat with us feature to ask a question, and they get back to you pretty quickly. They've got a great team of people who understand the tool and how it works for retirees. And if you need one-on-one coaching sessions, they're available for $250 for a session. Or you can step up with Boldin Advisors with a certified financial planner who will give you an advice-only plan. And the level of service will depend on what you ask them to do. Now, if you want a certified financial planner to take a look at your plan, there's a range of services that you could get for them on an advice-only basis. It ranges from a complete retirement plan checkup for $2,100 to a investment review of how your asset allocation is done for about $1,200. An ongoing advisory fee that you might pay for advice-only plans. Again, I'm DIY, but any of those options are far less than what somebody would pay for a 1% asset under management fee. Again, this is priced for the masses who need financial help. Now, this brings me to the final comment about the name Boldin. When I began looking at Steve Chen's NewRetirement in 2019, I paid the annual fee for Planner Plus more as a Kickstarter contribution to a project that I hoped would succeed. And as you can see, Steve sent me an email when I hadn't used it enough in the first year. But notice that branding there. It's a new retirement, and there's a tree and a streaming. And again, I really didn't think much about the logo. The team had created a great brand with its nimble development of software to deliver on its promise of a new way of looking at retirement. By the time I reviewed the product in June of 2023, Steve had updated the logo to include those arches, but it was still called NewRetirement. And again, this is the team that listened to comments and responded. And so I was okay with NewRetirement as a name. In September of 2024, Steve announced the new branding, Boldin, your financial confidence platform. And as he explains here in this message, and I'll put a link to this message in the notes below, the team felt that financial planning was more than retirement planning. So NewRetirement was seen as a name that was self-limiting. Now, I'm not sure I would have named it Boldin. Maybe I'm too cautious with my money. And I'm not sure I want to play any confidence games with my retirement savings. But be that as it may, this reminds me of some brand work in my own work history. I spent a decade at Cigna, which was the merger of two of the oldest insurance companies in America, Insurance Company of North America and Connecticut General. The lawyers were discussing naming the new company, and North American General was quickly dismissed because it would have been known as a nag. Now, I'll credit Apple Intelligence for that little horseplay. I should note again that I'm not receiving any payment from Boldin. I'll get used to the new name, but I believe it's the team behind the brand that's light years ahead of its competition that is the real reason why Boldin is better, despite its name. I will conclude with my standard warning. I have no initials after my name, so take these as entertaining ideas from one educated consumer to another. Always do your own due diligence and seek out a professional if you need one.